where's home or where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Lake City, South Carolina. It's a little small town. Um, Once I graduated from Lake City, kind of migrated to Florence, South Carolina, to where I now ended up here in Charlotte.
So, where does the military fall into that?
So, good question. Um, I was working when I got out of high school, I went to Claflin College. And I did my first year at Claflin. And, I realized, hey, it's pretty expensive, for the family. And so I decided to join the military. And I joined the military. When I got into the military, ironically, it was the Iraq War. So, I'm a Desert Storm vet where I ended up, um, you know, you know, going to war and then, transitioning from that, came out and I began to work for this maintenance company. And it was kind of my background because my MOS in the military, I was a 45K armament repairman and then transferred to 95B military police. So I had the mechanical and the electrical background.
Why Army?
You know what? I wanted to be all I could be. And it was the closest thing. So I was in school one day and I said, you know what, let me walk to the recruiting station. I was actually in college in Orangeburg at Claflin. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna walk to the recruiting station. And when I got there, they sold me all this, hey, we can pay for your college, it'll be great. And so I said, okay, man, where did I sign? And I signed.
You know, Take me through boot camp. Were you nervous?
Honestly, I really wasn't because I was in ROTC, in college. So I kind of understood it, what I'm saying. I wasn't really nervous. I was actually excited. It was a new challenge. And so, in going through boot camp, it was actually great because from boot camp, to school, always was a leader, so it was great. It was awesome.
Awesome. So I know growing up in the military, you don't get to pick where you go, and you typically don't get to pick the job you want. You make the list. So you were mentioning the jobs. The first one with kind of the mechanical, is that what you wanted, or is that high on the list, or that's just kind of what you got?
You know, that's kind of what I wanted. I kind of wanted to get a skill set, and so that offered, the electrical and the mechanical side. And so I took on those jobs, and after that, I said, you know what, let me see what the law enforcement side offers. And so that's when I became a 95B. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think, what was your time like starting on the mechanical before switching? I think, what was that like doing that in the military?
Um, it was good. We got to do a lot, and actually, I like the N1A1 Abrams, the tanks. I was the over the whole group, the whole team. So we built them from scratch. So from just a shell, we rebuilt them, and I thought, and then a lot of the troubleshooting we did with the components that were inside. We were the base team, so we took care of all the heavy stuff.
I think, what's that like building something from scratch?
You know what? It's awesome because when you finish, you like, this is what I did, and so you got a whole tank in one Abram that is built from nothing to now it's a unit that they're utilizing in war. It's awesome. It was amazing. Exciting.
Were you, I'm sure, with the war and being stationed, were you doing that overseas as well?
No, overseas, I was 95B, military police. So I was doing more security and out patrolling and stuff like that. So
I wanted to ask too, I think, what made you want to kind of switch jobs?
um, when you're in the military, you look for the opportunity for growth. And I thought that, okay, now let's try the law enforcement side. Kind of thinking about my future, what I want to do when I exit the military. It's just kind of thinking ahead and rank wise too, for ranking.
How was that?
Pretty good. I mean, I got promoted fairly fast. I left out sergeant, but my movement was pretty quick once I became a military police, and it was good. I loved it. I mean, it was a really good job.
Did you? I think, what made you want to leave the military?
I really didn't want to leave, but what happened was, after the Desert Storm, we got back. Here's the story. We got back, and we MPs, and they say, "Hey, we going out to the field." We went out to the field this particular day. It was raining and it was wet, and I said, "You know what? You know what? I've had enough. I'm now going to exit the military," and that's when I exited the military. I said, "You know what? I got orders through Korea." I said, "You know what? I had to extend 6 months." I said, "You know what? I'm done. I wish I had stayed in. I loved it."
So I think, how old were you then, or how many years had you done then?
Then I had done about 4 years.
Okay. So you're just like, you know what? I did my time. Time to go.
Did my time to go. I did a total of 8 years. And when I look back now, it was the best thing, ever, because, military is awesome. You know what I'm saying? Anybody, I recommend that, you go, because it's just great. The experience, the structure, the discipline, it's what's needed now, and I think it's just great.
I want to ask, and I feel like you've really hit it with that answer, but I think going into coming out, how much did it change you?
It changed me. It changed me a lot. When you experience, the things that you experience in the military, you go through changes, but then you adapt to your environment and the surroundings. And for me, I look at a lot of my fellow veterans and stuff, and I look at them and say, "Hey, that could have been me, but here I am. I took it as, a way to become stronger, to elevate myself, to grow and to use what I learned in the military, to advance my life." And it's actually been a great help.
Good transition. So you get out, and then what's next? I think, were you at a point, because I know I talk to some people where when they get out, they're kind of like, I don't know what to do next. Were you at that point when you got out?
No. So when I got out, I already had a plan. So my thing is, what am I going to do? So before I even, ETS'd, I was already set up for college. So I knew when I got out, I was going directly to college. And along with that, didn't quite pan out initially. I say, okay, let me get a job, because I went home to mom, and I got a job, and I worked at a company called Nanyang Plastics, which is, and I was in the maintenance role, the mechanics and the electronics, and I stayed there, ironically, for 14 years. 14 years, and after 14 years, I said, you know what, going to school at the same time, and I said, you know what, this is enough. It was time to make a move. And that's when I chose Charlotte.
Good transition. Why Charlotte? I think, what led you to this city, and then what led you to working for the city?
Well, truthfully, when I was working for Nanyang Plastics for 14 years, I was making $14.35 an hour in my era. And when I moved to Charlotte, they offered me $19.20. I said, man, that's a jump. I'm moving. And so I came, I transitioned, I took the job, and I worked, but I saw opportunities for growth here in Charlotte. And so I came and said, you know what, this is going to be my stepping stone. And so when I got here, I worked the job, and then a light rail system was coming. And I said, that might be for me. So, I put in for the job, and kind of held back. But first, with that being said, the company that I was working at, I ended up losing my right hand, and I was saying to myself, I don't went to war, come back home, and I worked this job, and, due to some issues, I ended up losing my hand. So, the job came up with the city of Charlotte. And here's what I love about the city. When it became open, they called me, said, hey, we got to open for the position. And I said, well, I'm an amputee. And you know what they said? Do you want to come in for the interview or not? And that right there did it for me. Right then I know that, hey, I want to be here with the city of Charlotte, because, see, they didn't look just at me. they look at, you know, my skill set. I came in and took the test, took the exam, and they hired me on.
That's awesome. What year was that for you?
That year was around 2007.
So you've been here over 10 years.
19.
19.
About
I was
18,
like,
yeah,
ooh.
18, 19 years, yeah.
How's it feel saying that almost 20 years you've been with the city of Charlotte?
I love it. You know, it's a great place because I grew through the ranks. You know, I came in, when I came with the city of Charlotte, you know, I was offered supervising rail car maintenance, and, you know, I turned it down initially, you know, because I wanted to grow. I wanted to prove myself. I thought me being, you know, an amputee coming in that I had to prove myself. And, you know, my mindset was strong because what the military taught me was, you know, discipline and structure and, you know, organization and things like that. And so I came in and I just worked the job, and then finally, you know, the position came open and I applied and, you know, became the supervisor. And then from that, my career just started kind of taking off within the city. Then I went to training specialist, and then I went to interim QA for, you know, 2 years, and then I went for senior safety coordinator. Then I went to training manager, and now here I am now, the maintenance away manager.
That's awesome. When you started, did you see yourself in this, like, did you see yourself staying as long as you have? Or was it supposed to be like a short-term thing?
No, I came in wanting to stay and just wanted to find avenues to grow. You know, my mom always taught me, walk in the position that you want. And so I took that as, you know, when I come to work, I gave 100%, you know, in what I do, and I took pride in what I did, you know. And that's kind of what, you know, what you're taught in the military. You take pride in what you do, you know, and just give 100% at everything.
That was a great transition because I was going to ask, you know, currently in your role or just even the roles you've had with the city, I think, how has the military shaped and helped you into the jobs that you've had here with the city of Charlotte?
But one of the primary things is leadership. So it taught me, you know, hey, this is what it takes to be a leader, and how should you lead. You know, how to deal with, you know, personnel. And, you know, situations. You know, when you're placed in a situation, you know, how you handle the situation. So it kind of prepared me for that, you know. Administrative wise, it prepares you for all these things, you know, challenges that you may face. You know, in the military, you know, you got challenges that you're faced with, but in the real world, you know, because of those things that you've been through in the military, you're able to grow and adapt, and then you're able to be a good leader and try to be a good leader to actually provide for your team and be able to mentor your team. You know.
Definitely. Kind of my last thing, and you've really hit it, is I think when you look back on your life, you know, starting with the military, would you do it again?
You know what? I'll go back. I said, you know, as a matter of fact, I said a couple months ago, if I had to do it all over again, I'll do it. I'll do it again. This time I'll stay.
But it might not have led you to the city. You never know.
You know what? You know what? That's absolutely true. But I would have found my way. It's a great job. It's a great job. I love the city.
I love it. Well, my last question for real is, I think, how long do you have? You've already done almost 20. How long you staying here?
You know what? As long as they'll keep me, I'm going to work, and as long as they'll keep me.